This is Jason CROSSON from CROSSON, all the way from Sydney, Australia, and you're listening to Rock at Night.
Are you ready? Hey, tonight I'm gonna take you on a little trip. We're going down south by the minor Mississippi. I'm gonna take you to a place where lights never dim. Bring your mother, your brother, and your best friend. I'm gonna show you where they dance out in the street. They'll tell you all about your body heat. I'm not gonna talk about it, just gonna do it. Get on down if you feel up good. Get on down.
This is Anita Stewart, managing editor for Rock at Night, and we're sitting down right now with Jason CROSSON of Down Under's glam rock band CROSSON. Jason has been fronting this band for years, and the production is a throwback to the 80s glam rock bands. The band's presence on stage includes lots of theatrics, elaborate lighting, stage sets, and incredible chorus-like background vocals, making for a very multi-layered sound. The band's latest album dropped last month and is titled Ready, Aim, Rock. Jason and his band were highlighted in our very first print edition 2 years ago. So thank you, Jason, for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Anita.
And let me just kind of begin at the beginning and ask you exactly how music drew you in and how old you were, and, you know, what were some of your earliest influences?
Oh, wow. I guess first love was ABBA. And I still sort of go back to those tunes, and just the way that in the writing process, the way that Benny and Bjorn wrote all those counter melodies, and there's so much happening underneath. So, you know, I still use that sort of style to in our writing. It's just a lot heavier, but it's still catchy rock songs, pop rock songs. So yeah, that was the first love. And then a few years later, I discovered Kiss, and that was the end of it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And that's where all, obviously, the influence of the theatrics and the costumes and bringing that entertainment value to what we do and to the music, that's where all that sort of started. So if there was no Kiss, there'd definitely be no CROSSON. And then obviously a little bit later was all the 80s stuff, like your Motley Crues, your Bon Jovis, your Poisons. So that's all very much influenced what we do. And obviously some of the modern day stuff as well. So we're sort of blending things in a bit and keeping that spirit of alive of entertainment and visual. People have eyes as well as ears, so we've got to entertain people.
Yeah, it's kind of like that thing, video killed the radio star. You know, once MTV came on the scene, it wasn't just enough to hear a band on the radio. It's like you had to have that visual to go along with it. And now, of course, we have to have that social network thing that's necessary. And, you know, everybody looks at those numbers. Can you kind of maybe explain your take on how that has progressed, and what are some of the pros and cons of the social networks?
Look, I think especially now with the whole streaming thing as well. Look, back in the day, if you didn't have a distribution deal, you couldn't get airplay, and then it was a vicious circle. You couldn't get airplay unless you had a distribution deal. So at least now with things like with your Spotify's, although the artist doesn't really get much out of it, it gives you that wider network. And I've discovered lots of bands in the similar sort of genre as us by just being online and saying, oh, you might like this. And then I press the button and I visit them and I do like them. Whereas prior to all that, we would never have discovered these artists, and we would never have been able to get our stuff out, I don't think, unless you were with a big label. So it gives the independents definitely room to put themselves out there and get exposure. And yeah, I think in some ways it's a good thing. No more paper.
Right. The big thing was getting the airplay on a radio station back in the day. And, when you watch movies like the movie about Loretta Lynn, coal miner's daughter, and how she had to travel from radio station to radio station to try to get them to play her song. And that now it's almost like the radio programming has become canned. And do you think that's a big help or a big hindrance?
Well, I sort of tend to listen to artists that I like. So the radio doesn't really play this, it did back in the day, but now it doesn't sort of play the music that I like. So I sort of enjoy newer bands like Heat and Crazy Licks and Eclipse. And there's no way to hear them on our radio station, but with Spotify, I can put on a playlist. So in some ways, I think it's good. Those who are passionate about a certain genre can listen to that genre instead of being told what to listen to.
Right.
And I just don't know how many people listen to the radio anymore, commercial radio. I know my wife does, but I don't. Because I don't want to be told what to listen to. I want to listen to what I want, what I like.
Yeah, it's now it's most of the younger bands are, scrambling to get the Instagram numbers up, the Facebook numbers up. And, the numbers on the socials are what's proving to those in power, how many people are actually listening to their music. So that's the big thing right now. So I totally agree with you. I go to Spotify and I use Apple Music, for instance. And usually it'll direct me. It's really interesting with the AI. It'll direct me into exactly what I want to hear. So it's like I really don't have to go searching for it a lot of the time. Now, I'm looking at this big poster thing on your Facebook page, and it's talking about the Glam Fest 2023. And I'm sure down in Australia, everybody is really getting into like the next festival season because everybody's been locked down for so long because of COVID. Can you tell me a little bit about the festival circuit down in Australia and maybe how it differs from what's happening in the US and Great Britain?
Oh, first of all, it's a seasonal thing because you guys probably have your festivals in your summer. We have them in ours, which is obviously from December through to February.
Right.
Now, with Glam Fest, that's perfect for our genre of music. I'm actually working with the promoter on that one a little bit. It was just the idea of putting together some of these nostalgic acts and the new wave of if you want to call them hair metal or melodic rock acts, and pull them all on a bundle and tour the country with them. And we're fortunate to be involved in that, and I think it's going to be really great.
Go ahead.
Oh, so I was just going to say we've got on the bill. We've got Faster Pussycat. We've got Wednesday 19, which is a bit left of centre, but it's all theatric. We've got Eclipse from Sweden, Pretty Boy Floyd.
Oh wow!
Tough, and Enough's Enough. And Sisters Doll, who are an Australian glam band who are doing very well, and ourselves are the main touring acts. And then we've got then we've got like locals in each city that we travel to. So we're really looking forward to that. That'll be great.
Most of the festivals, do they take place on the coast? Are there any inland?
We mostly in our major cities. So it's the East Coast is Brisbane, Sydney, and then as we go further south, it's Melbourne. They're our major capitals. Adelaide is happening. And poor old Perth's on the west side, but sometimes they just don't get the numbers. So a lot of promoters just don't go there because it's just not economically viable, to fly a big entourage 5 hours, and they just can't pull the numbers. So it's mostly the four major capital cities, which is a bit different to, say, being in Europe or being in the US where, a band could be playing, 3 nights a week. We're sort of, because we're such a small population spread out over such a big island, we're sort of limited to those capital cities. And sometimes you might go inland and do a smaller regional run, but we wouldn't take a festival there. just based on numbers. But some of the promoters will put on in a regional area for some of these other festivals. Will just put on one big festival in the middle of nowhere, and people just take the weekend off and go there. So it sort of varies a bit.
Right. Let me switch it up and head back to the actual music. And I was watching some of the videos and the production that you have on the videos, and I'm sure in live performance too. It's really incredible, and I'm quite impressed with the girls who are dancing plus background singing. So tell me how you actually get the girls. Do they try out? Do you have just those two, or are there others that fill in? And what are their requirements as far as vocally for you to select them?
Okay, well, the concept from the beginning was I had this idea of myself and two girls, and with costume changes and just to make it a whole theatrical show. So that's how it's been from the beginning. Obviously, people come and go over the years. Libby's been with us for coming up to 3 or 4 years now, and Olivia's been there for maybe 2.5. So, but I've got backups for everybody, because sometimes someone can't make a show. So instead of cancelling it, whether it's a guitarist or a bass player or a girl, we still have people in the works that if they're needed to be called upon and then they can do the gig, then we call on them. But generally everyone's sort of keen to do it. They've got plenty of notice. So yeah, we generally audition. So that's how we do it, how we've done it in the past. Or if Libby recommends someone, I'll know that they'll be good. Like we just had to replace a bass player, and our drummer said he's got someone. So if it's coming from Kyle, I know he's going to be good and easy to work with. So yeah, it's all part of the auditioning process and being able to to learn choreography very quickly and get it down. But once they get familiar with the show,
right.
They know. It's sort of, especially for dancers, I don't know how they do it. They get shown a routine once or twice and they've got it. Like, that's why I don't do any, because I can't get it around my head.
Right. I'm just amazed that they can dance like that and sing at the same time, because that's no easy feat for sure. And, it's quite impressive. So, I was watching some of the clips and videos from the latest album, and the one song, let me go to it real quick here, was I got to go to your album here, Fallen from Grace. Fallen from Grace. It was most of the videos that I've watched are pretty upbeat and positive music, but it's almost like Fallen from Grace it kind of like had some darker undertones in the visuals. Can you tell me a little bit about where that song came from and what was the concept for the video?
Well, if you actually listen to the lyrics, it's quite an uplifting song. It's it just talks about you've fallen from grace, you can rise from disgrace. It's still that uplifting cross-on message that we put into our lyrics. But with the video, we wanted to go a bit left of centre, do something we hadn't done before, and something that could work live. So when we were sitting with the directors, we were trying to choose concepts for each of the videos, and came up with the fallen angel concept for Fallen from Grace. So we got the costumes, and that sort of really worked. Okay, let's have the girls be possessed and turn us into demons at the end, and it's more of a visual thing. So now we're doing that live. When we start our first show with the new set in a few weeks. So that'll be incorporated with that. So the girls will come out with their with their fallen angels outfits, and so we just wanted something a little bit left of center that we hadn't done before. And then make it a bit of a horror theme.
Yeah, I liked it for sure. And it's right on time, as far as for Samhain/Halloween here. It's like perfect timing. Tell me, what are some of your favorite instruments to use? Do you do you sponsor any particular companies? And what's your favorite guitar?
Oh, okay. So, look, when I'm writing, it's usually either on the guitar or piano. And then once I start putting it all on the Pro Tools, I'll throw in, choirs and strings and whatever else I can sort of throw in and make to fill it out and make it sound as epic as we possibly can. But it's funny. I just never classify myself as a musician. I just, just someone. I just think I'm just someone who writes music and puts it out there and plays a bit. So I've got my guitar that I use live. I had that tailor made. It's like the Flying V with the lights and the logo, and just to give it a bit more of a visual impact. Yeah, so we've not so much sponsorship. I've just been too lazy to go out and get it. I've just been busy doing other things like yeah.
Did you have classical training when you were young in music?
I did. I was actually my first instrument was the piano accordion of all things. My father loved it, so I was the fat little Greek kid playing the piano accordion in his velvet sweaters. But I don't feel so bad now because I've learned of the likes of Tony Iommi and Steve Vai and Tommy Lee all learned the piano accordion first. I don't feel as nerdy.
Right.
My father was devastated when I said to him at a young age, sorry, after 10 years of that, I said, I'm trading that in for the electric guitar. And that was the end of that.
Yeah, because he wanted you doing something traditional, no doubt, right?
Yeah, of course. But,
and I had to ask that because many people that have classical overtones to their music usually start out in church or some traditional way. So it's almost easy for someone that's got a trained ear to be able to hear that in the music. It just kind of comes natural. So let's see. My next question: how has the whole situation with COVID bounced back, and what exactly is happening in Australia in regards to planning ahead and being able to do concerts and people out and about again?
Oh, look, everything's back to normal now. Last year, we had a heap of shows in the latter half of the year which were just cancelled, and tours that were just cancelled. Our recording was delayed as well. We were supposed to head into the studio in June, July, and they had this rule of no more than businesses couldn't open. It was like there's 3 people in a 100 square meter room. They wouldn't allow it. So,
wow.
So it was just insane. Just that the businesses, no matter who they were, couldn't open. So,
right.
Even if it was like you've got a big room and you only got 3 people there with masks, people were just afraid of getting fined and stuff. So we didn't start tracking until October, so it was a bit of a 3-month delay. But now everything's back to normal. There's no masks, full capacities. So hopefully everything will stay this way.
Yes, that's what I'm hoping for too. And it's the concerts are happening and the tours for most of the bands. And there were probably very few bands that didn't survive, that didn't make it. Some split and they're doing solo things now, but that's very minimal. There's not a lot of that. So what is next for the band, and what is next for you after this album? Like, can you project 5 years ahead, or do you have some ideas to do something different?
Well, I always work 2 years ahead as far as releasing material goes. So, because it usually takes a year to write and demo everything, and then I give all the demos to the musos, and they'll head into the studio. So, literally, we've just started writing for the next album, and then working with a promoter, an Australian promoter at the moment. So working on this Glam Fest and working on bringing some artists out and touring and just building the profile. So at the end of the day, we just want to play to as many people as possible. So a 5-year plan, yeah, hopefully we'll be headlining our own shows and playing to lots of people and spreading our rock and roll disease.
Yeah. And Is it more difficult now to tour outside of Australia? Has it become really expensive or just logistically difficult?
Oh, it's always expensive traveling and, taking a big an entourage to Europe. So it's got to be viable for us. But I guess in the situation that we're in, I mean, if someone can't make it, we can pick up a musician, in another country and go from there. So if the invitation's there, we'll find a way to make it work.
And what was the concept of Ready, Aim, Rock? What was the whole feel or vibe for that album? Was it telling a story, or was it just independent songs not related to each other?
No, not really. What the whole vibe of it, we couldn't repeat ourselves. I didn't want to repeat ourselves in the writing category like we did. So Rock and Roll Love Affair, which was the album before, had some great, catchy rock anthems. But if you repeat yourself, you're not growing. So
right,
I've always had a admiration for Jim Steinman as a writer who did all the Meatloaf and Bonnie Tyler stuff. So with a lot of the tunes here, I'd be writing and going, okay, what would Steinman do now? And you can sort of hear that Meatloaf-esque influence in the latest album on songs like The Way It Is, and quite a few of them actually. Yeah, even United's got that that Bonnie Tyler piano riff happening in there. So
right,
yeah, that was the influence on this album, just to shake things up a bit, so you're not repeating yourself, and hopefully grow a little bit.
Now, are you still going to be working with Dwayne Barron, because he's got quite a lot of influence and creds for sure? So
yeah, well, this is the fourth album that Dwayne's it's worked on with us. So he started off with Spreading the Rock and Roll Disease, and then he did Invincible. So it's been, I think, I was chatting with him the other day. I said, Dwayne, I think we've been working together for almost 10 years. So hopefully, if he's still keen to do it, he was really happy with it. He's even said, "Look, this is the best stuff you guys have done." So if it's coming from Dwayne, then it's something to take seriously. But that's always the pressure. You release an album that's better than the next one, and the pressure's on to release the next one's going to be better. So
now he's based in the U.S. So is that does that throw kind of a snafu in trying to get music back and forth? Or with the engineering?
With the master, so Dwayne does all our mixing. So we track everything here, and then I send it to Dwayne, and then it's sort of a bit of a back and forth thing with each track. So that sounds great. Can we try this? And until we sort of come to an agreement, and then we move on to the next one.
Right.
Yeah, so it's all uploading and downloading, and
yeah, he's worked with some incredible people, and here on my list is Alice Cooper, Aussie, Motley Crue. Wow, just amazing. And you can kind of see that influence too. Yeah, because the first time I heard your music, I was thinking Alice Cooper, because Alice Cooper was doing the theatrics. Really, the theatric rock and roll back in the 70s before anybody else was doing it. So that's kind of interesting. And I want to definitely thank you for doing the song. This was on your last album, I think, Weak at the Knees for a Hot Brunette. So what inspired you to do a song about a brunette? I had to throw this in here. I know Charisse asked you the same question, but I was just so happy to hear that, because nobody gives us any acknowledgement in music.
Well, firstly, I'm a brunette man. Sorry, blondes, but that's the way it is. And secondly, well, there's too many songs about blondes. The beautiful brunettes of the world need to be celebrated. So I was actually, in a Bikram yoga class, and our things just come to me, and our instructor was a nice brunette, and I'm in some pose, and all of a sudden I was getting a bit weak at the knees with all the heat, obviously, because it's a Bikram 40-degree yoga class. Right. And that was it. I started working on the song that night.
That's funny. So you were inspired by that. Are there any other funny inspirations for music that you can think of where a song just came to you in your head?
Most of the time with the writing, it's just that's how it is. It's just I'll be walking down the street or in the car, and boom, a chorus will come into my head, and I just pull over to the side of the road, record it on my phone, and then just okay, that's there. We'll start working on it. I think Weaker Than These is definitely the most interesting
because of your memory.
because of my memory in a pair of shorts in a 40-degree room with a nice instructor. Yes.
And we have to let listeners know that this is 40 degrees Celsius, so it's really freaking.
Oh yes, yeah, 40 degrees Celsius. Let me do my conversion.
Yeah, because that is a super hot room, and it's the Bikram, and there's one other kind of yoga that does that too. So on a personal level, you're a Libra, and Libras love. They love their relationships. I'm also an astrologer, and they love to be around love and beauty. That's just like your thing. So can you say that your nature just naturally drew you to music? What are the other things that you love as intently as music?
Well, I love obviously movies. I think the whole cross-on thing. If you were to throw something into a blender, and out came cross-on at the other end, it would definitely be Kiss, the whole '80s glam scene, Benny Hill, Lost in Space, Star Wars, and Rocky Balboa. So put all that in the blender, spit it out, you've got yourself cross-on.
That's amazing, because it's the Libras that I know. Actually, Charisse is a Libra also. They love beauty, and they need to have that beauty around them. And usually it's a celebration of the arts, but any kind of arts, not just music or painting, but all of it. So obviously you like cinema and film. So that's really, really cool. And that is perfect for a Libra. It's an expression of that love and beauty. So
I'm also on the cusp of a Virgo. So, in some things I'm very, very focused and right, this needs to be done, and I get it done. But on the Libra side of things, you put a menu in front of me and I go nuts. I just can't make a decision.
Right. So let me ask you this question as we wrap it up. And this is a funny question. So this is going to have to do maybe with 10, 20 years from now. Are you going to still be rocking, or are you going to be in the rocking chair?
Hopefully I'm rocking in a rocking chair.
Yeah, I'm with you. Rocking in the rocking chair. I think that's where I'm going to be. So
yeah. Still keep on going until I get struck down by lightning.
Yeah. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Jason?
Well, just thank you so much for having me, and we'd love to get over there and play for you guys one day. So promoters, here we are. We're ready. We're just waiting for the invitation.
Oh, I hope so. I hope that happens. I mean, even if you just do like a short southeast or eastern seaboard, and then maybe one short tour out west, you wouldn't have to do. I think that would generate enough buzz to do a second and a third and on and on. So hopefully, I hope they hear this. So go ahead.
We'd love to come and see you all. So and show you what we're about. But in the meantime, you can, if you want to see we've got actually online our Live at the Orpheum concert that we did in Sydney. So you can see that now on YouTube, or we've got it on Blu-ray for all the diehards. And that'll give you an idea of what Cross-On's about.
And make sure that you all that are listening connect on the socials, on Facebook, Cross-On Rock, and then Instagram, Jason.CROSSON, and everywhere else where records are sold. You can go to the website as well, crosson.com.au, and order music there. So there's tons of ways to connect. But Jason, thank you so much. And we hope
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, we hope to have you stateside soon. So have a great night or a great day for you.
Great day. Thank you, Anita. All the best.
All the best. Bye-bye.
You're listening to Rock at Night.
The introductory song, Get On Down, is from blues artist Billy Bass Alford. Look for his music at ReverbNation.com.